Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside the 400th episode of Locked On Senators. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller out in Tofino, and the Senators are about to embark on a home-and-home preseason battle with the Montreal Canadiens. It certainly doesn't feel the same without Brady Tkachuk yet in the Senators lineup, and no Jesperi Kotkaniemi, our favorite storyline to follow. I guess we'll have to settle for Shane Pinto versus Cole Caulfield. That being said, with the young stars, Brady is now reportedly the last RFA without a deal, as Vancouver is in talks, and well, they should have both Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes signed by the end of today. So what does that mean for Tkachuk? Will he miss opening night? Let's hope not, but I'll get Pilsy's take on that. And then we've counted down from 59, slowly but surely, ever since early August, and now it's October 1st. It's time to get to numbers 2 and 1 on our Senators organizational value rankings. You're going to want to stick around for all of that. Plus, it's a great day in Senators history. We'll let you know what monumental thing happened on this day in 1999. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today is Friday, October 1st, and Pilsy, in about 12 hours from when we're recording, Artem Zub will take part in a National Hockey League shootout.
You gotta love it. I mean, there's no better time to do something fun like that than throw Zub a shootout goal. And hey, if he can pull off the moves like he did coming out of the penalty box up against the Leafs, we could see something exciting. We've seen a couple decent shootout attempts from the Senators defenseman. Branny had a real nice one when we were there in Winnipeg. So Zub's going to have to one-up him here.
Well, don't be surprised if you see the Bobby Ryan move. That's what he did on the penalty. Well, when he came out of the penalty box and went backhand, forehand, tuck right around Freddie Anderson. Did you catch that clip from the All or Nothing Leafs game, by the way?
No, I haven't seen any of the comedy show yet.
Yeah, so I watched at Bring Back Lee on Twitter, obviously great Sens memorabilia collector and very active season ticket holder. He posted just that 3-minute clip. It's in a thread. There's two clips, and oh my God, the F-bombs coming from the Leafs there. Like, oh, nice. It's effing embarrassing. It's this, it's that. And as a Sens fan, you just kick your feet up on the couch and enjoy that thoroughly. I will say, though, I'm a bit jealous because how cool would it be to get that sort of access to the behind the scenes of what goes on day to day, you know, like the NHL 24/7 on the way to the Winter Classic, that sort of thing. They need that in Ottawa. I thought we were getting it with that Bell breakaway. It's not even close. It's just little 2-minute puff pieces.
Yeah, they're still fun to watch, but yeah, that would be sweet. And this would be a great year to have a team follow the Sens, right? Like,
no, the best would have been
anymore.
2017-18 would have been by far the best TV.
Definitely. Yeah, never a dull moment, that's for sure. But like this would be like a come up story, right? Like they've been rebuilding for years. The rebuild's over. Let's go. Let's see what these guys have.
Yeah, no question about that. So anyways, just a little fun that the Sens fans got to experience, even though the show's all about the Leafs. All or Nothing. The title is too easy to make fun of. That being said, the Leafs are coming off a 4-0 victory over the Senators. Ottawa shut out for the first time in 586 days since February 22nd, 2020. Pilsy, that was against the Montreal Canadiens. Let's hope it doesn't happen again tonight as Ottawa is on home ice. And if you're watching on YouTube, we have pulled up the roster for tonight's game. Most notably, Pilsy, before we go through the entirety of the roster, your thoughts on what I'll call the second biggest storyline of the season. Matt Murray is expected to not only start, but play the full game tonight.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's about time to get Matt Murray in. I mean, this is a season where he's got to have a bounce back season if the Sens really have any hopes of having success. And let's get him started here. He missed the first 2 games, or he wasn't on the roster at least. They were looking at some other goalies, but I think Matt Murray, if we can see some of the consistency he showed at the end of the season before he got hurt once again, then this is going to be a real good season for him. So hopefully, it's nice that he gets the whole game too. Like, I feel like that's kind of a respect factor too. Like, you're getting over $6 million. We brought you in. You're supposed to be our number one starter. Take the whole game and let's see what you can do here.
On defense, that's the NHL lineup, right? 7 defensemen on one-way contracts plus Eric Brandstrom. However, again, they've listed 8D right here, or is it? Yeah, 8 defensemen here. My guess is that Josh Brown and Eric Brandstrom sit this one out, especially Brandstrom, because he's played in both games so far. So you got to think he's out of the lineup, and that's fine. That's not to say he won't make the team, but it's time to get what's going to be in front of Matt Murray, most likely, get them out there on home ice. And up front, it's going to be the top 2 lines, right? You got to think so. I mean, Shane Pinto is still battling through, and yeah, Timmy and Connor Brown not there. So I guess first and third, we'll say, as Alex Formenton, guest to Locked On Senators last Friday. Can't believe that was only a week ago, Pillsy. Doesn't it feel like so much longer? And now Formy's got a chance to really cement a Sens Central bump, as he will be the Brady Tkachuk placeholder today alongside Josh Norris and Drake Batherson. Norris and Batherson both making their preseason debuts. That can't be said for anybody else on this roster. They were either in the lineup, most of them on Sunday. This is very similar to the team that played against the Winnipeg Jets. We were, of course, at that game there. And I'm still curious about the scratches, though, because is Ostapchuk going to get a third preseason game? He did end up playing against a second preseason game, rather. We were of the idea that he would get the one game and go back to junior, but the Sens clearly, after signing to a contract, very impressed with the youngster. And could he get into another game? After the 2 penalties he took in last one, I don't know if I would have gone that direction, but hey, they want a longer look at Ostapchuk. Just in case you're listening on any podcast platform except for YouTube, I'll run through the rest of the roster. You can pick and choose what lines you think will happen. It's unfortunate, Ridley Gregg, I'm assuming because he's listed on this roster that this will be the game he serves his suspension, right? Because he wasn't even listed on the roster against the Maple Leafs. Pillsy, so Igor Sokolov in the game, Tyler Ennis, Cole Reinhart, Parker Kelly, Zach Ostapchuk, Colin White, Andrew Agozzino, Nick Paul, Ridley Gregg, Austin Watson, and Shane Pinto. What's the biggest storyline outside of Matt Murray for you?
Well, Ross, it looks like TSN 1200 did tweet out the game day line, so we've got a little idea of what's going to happen here. So I'll go through the lines for you here. So we got Formenton, Norris, Batherson. Love seeing Formy up there getting a good look with the big boys on the top line. I think he's going to really show off here. Then we got Cole Reinhart, Colin White, Tyler Ennis. That's an interesting line, a line that's going to have hopefully some energy with, if Cole Reinhart's out there, there's going to be some energy. And then Tyler Ennis buzzing around is always good. And then you got Paul, Pinto, Watson, which I thought was an interesting line. I think I'd rather swap Watson and Sokolov here, especially to give Sokolov a chance to play with Pinto for a bit. The fourth line, the shift disturber, Andrew Agozzino and Igor Sokolov. So I don't know. What do you think? I think it definitely would be worth it to flip Watson and Sokolov here, right? Like get Watson on that fourth line. A line with Parker Kelly and Austin Watson is always fun to watch. And then it'd be nice to see Igor Sokolov with a setup guy like Shane Pinto. And then Nick Paul to finish off that line is absolutely great.
Yeah, no question. I think that would be beneficial. Igor is going to get his reps on the power play. Yep. So... and from that standpoint, there is something to work at. He's not going to play 5 or 6 minutes. And from the lineup, it looks like Ostapchuk on the outside looking in, as well as Ridley Gregg, who will serve that suspension. But maybe what they're doing here is trying to see where Pinto fits, right? Like, can he play a fourth line role? He's in there with 2 more physical players. Of course, Nick Paul does it all. Put him wherever you need to. But I do like it in a preseason atmosphere. Let's see. Because we love Igor, no question. But I think it's starting to become more and more clear that he's going to start the season as the top line right winger in Belleville, whereas Austin Watson is going to play in the NHL no matter what. He's going to be a fourth line role, but this way maybe Shane Pinto gets a little bit more of that. Okay, you're going to make the NHL. We saw that you can play with skill players. That's great. but what on the chance that we can use you on a fourth line role? So let's see what kind of versatility Shane Pinto shows, and he's going to get PK time as well. So this is a big game for Shane Pinto, especially when you consider that Chris Tierney did not dazzle in his first preseason game. So should Pinto play well tonight? Is there a chance, do you think, that he goes back-to-back and gets in between Stützle and Connor Brown tomorrow, or is that something that could happen later in training camp?
I think there's definitely a chance that could happen. DJ Smith was saying they're kind of the last 3 games of the preseason, they're going to try to have their NHL team ready, right? Like that's going to be who they're going to go into the season with. Maybe they tinker with the lines a little, but I think definitely if Shane Pinto gets a good chance there, I would love to see them put him back up with Tim Stutzle and Connor Brown when they're at that point where it's NHL roster time, because that's his best fit. Whether like if you want to call it a second line, a third line, depending on how you juggle things, like those 2 players are really, other than like obviously if you put Shane Pinto in between Tkachuk and Batherson, I'm sure that would work really well too. But other than those 2 guys on the top line, that's the best fit for him, and we saw success with it last season.
Wow, sorry, I just lost my train of thought because I'm watching a video right now of the Kingston Frontenacs unveiling their new uniforms this year. They're absolutely sharp. We might have to get ourselves a Levi Marilainen one. That's how nice these unis are. By the way, Levi Marilainen did get his first game in with the Kingston Frontenacs. We'll tell you how that went. We've also got some more news and notes, and then drum roll, please. The organizational value rankings reaches its pinnacle. We'll tell you all about that right after a word from our friends at Bet Online. It's the perfect time if you haven't signed up yet for Bet Online, because this is the season. Baseball playoffs are coming up. Football's in full swing, and the NHL is underway. Preseason, that is, but you're gearing up for the big day on October 14th. 13th, I guess it starts, but the 14th because you're Locked On Senators. However, when you go to betonline.ag, here's how you, because you're a listener of Locked On Senators, are entitled to a 50% welcome bonus, not 15. We're not trying to trick you like that. 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. And here's how you go about it. So when you go to betonline.ag, make your free account just like you would, and then you put in the promo code Locked On. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it right there. Promo code Locked On gets you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So get in the action, stop sitting on the sidelines, and use our promo code to get 50% of the way there. You put in 200, bingo, bango, bongo. That's 100 free play dollars right there for you. It's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. All right, Pilsy. So I teased it a little bit there. Levi Marilainen, he gets a 4-3 victory in Ottawa for the Kingston Frontenacs against the 67. So it was a solid effort from him by all accounts. And hey, it's just the start of something great. The power rankings just came out. First of the year, CHL, so WHL, QMJHL, and OHL. Nice. And the Frontenacs are 4th. So,
well, I mean, when you got Shane right on your team, that's a big boost for sure. And Ross, while you're doing the ad read, I checked out that video. Those jerseys are sweet. I like the switch from yellow to gold. That's a nice. You think I'm
allowed to post it? Yeah, why not?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, you explain them, and then I'll bring them up.
Well, what's to explain?
Well, just how they look.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, they got the black and gold, whereas normally they've been black and yellow, and it's a real nice touch. Like, it's kind of like Vegas Golden Knights vibe without the gray. So you got white, gold, black, and then black as the home jersey. So they're looking sharp, and yeah, they're just profiling Wright's jersey here, and
I got it up on YouTube or right here. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're more than
there you go.
Yeah, unbelievable. Levy's going to look unreal in those uniforms. Speaking of junior hockey, just a quick aside, I just got my tickets next Wednesday. I'm going to go see Connor Bedard play in Winnipeg. The projected first overall pick in the 2023 NHL draft. This guy's 16 and he's already dominating down in junior. It's reminiscent. I'm sure lots of Sens fans will be able to relate to this who live in the Ottawa area. Back in 2004, so I was 12 years old. I still remember it. Sidney Crosby in Gatineau came to town, and he was like, so the Bob Gertain Arena, it's now defunct. This their first year. They moved to the Slush Puppy Center. Shout out, great name for that.
Slush Puppy Center.
the Bob Gertain Arena it's like an old school barn. Great rink to watch a hockey game in. It was shoulder to shoulder packed to see Crosby. And Gatineau had a great team that year too. What happens? Gatineau wins 7-6. Crosby had a goal and 5 assists on the 6 goals.
Not bad
for Rimouski. So I'm hoping for a similar thing with Connor Bedard next week when I go see them. It's too bad because Brandon opens their season in Winnipeg, but Ridley Gregg won't be back by then. But we'll have boots on the ground when he comes back and when Carson Latimer and the Edmonton Oil Kings come, and you're going to go see Levy and Ben Roger, who made his London Knights debut last night and
Chandler Romeo in Hamilton.
Definitely. So, hey, the Sens, I feel like more so than in recent years, are dipping into the CHL pool. So that's great. We're looking forward to seeing that continuing. And hey, the show as well, just while we're on a little melody through, what do you call it? Interlude through as we work our way up to the pinnacle of our Sens organizational value rankings. And we should talk about some cuts as well. We'll save that for Monday, because I think cuts will be coming on Monday for this Sens team, because then you are looking at 3 games left in the preseason. But I just dug out a couple old school jerseys that were in my closet. They were in the move, and they're actually in my parents' basement. So without further ado, this is a little why you should watch on YouTube. But I need you, actually, Pilsy, I think you can guess this. So I don't know if you can really tell how small this is on it. But there's a reason why I'm pulling this up right now. It's the old school black Sens jersey. We've got the white one here too. So what a duo. Like, imagine cheering for a team in the 90s. Like, what a combo there.
Beautiful.
I'm hoping that people are guessing right now, and leave a comment in the middle of watching this. And who is on the back of these jerseys?
Ooh.
So the black one's easy. We've got Alexei Yashin. Say what you want about him. That's fine. But this one, I don't even know if people would know that he wore an A. We got Lance Pitlick, my first ever Sens jersey. We've spoken about that on the show before. But the reason I brought that up as well, and the C on that Yashin jersey, that disappeared when he held out. And before he signed, right? Because he came back and played the full 2000-2001 season with the Ottawa Senators. But at that point, it was too little, too late. The leadership aspect was gone. And on this day, October 1st, 1999, Daniel Alfredsson was named captain of the Ottawa Senators. He would become the longest serving active captain in the NHL, a complete legend, and definitely worth mentioning.
Oh, absolutely. And Ross, wouldn't it just be so nice if the Sens threw us a treat and said, all right, Alfie was named captain on this day. We're going to name our next captain on this day, Brady Tkachuk, 8-year deal with a C on his sweater. That would be absolutely amazing.
Oh, my God. He was the captain until 2013. So that is a long tenure as captain of the Ottawa Senators. So we wish Alfie was still part of the organization right now, but hopefully he's doing well. And maybe one day that would happen. But we know that any year between 1998 and 2013, you would have Alfie as number 1 on your Senators organizational value rankings. But the way the Sens rebuild has gone, who knows where they'll fit in. Before we get to that, let's tell you where. Let's power up with our friends at Built Bar. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes just like a candy bar. Comes in 16 amazing flavors, so you'll never get tired of same old. There's 8 that have nuts, 8 are nut free, but all Built Bars are 100% covered in chocolate. They're soft and easy to chew. Built Bars are great for the health conscious guy or girl as well, because you can lose or maintain weight while indulging in a delicious treat. The bars are low in calorie, low in sugar, but they're high in fiber and high in protein. That's a nutritional grand slam. Pilsy, it's October. It's back to hockey season. Hit us with your parlay. Oops. See, I'm in the best shape of my life, but we still got to work the kinks out through preseason.
Yeah.
What's your Pilsy's pick of the day?
It's preseason for all of us here, Ross. Not a big deal. And hey, I learned the hard way yesterday. First time surfing ever. I was absolutely gassed. I think it's one of the hardest sports ever. You got to be in shape. You got to be fueled. You got to have energy. So after my surfing, I was dead tired, went back to the room, had a double chocolate Built Bar for all you chocolate lovers.
Wow.
every Built Bar is covered in 100% chocolate, but I was really feeling the chocolate that day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with the double chocolate. Wash it down with a nice glass of milk, and you got a great power up there. That's my Built Bar pick of the day. Go try it today, guys. It's a simple one, but it's a classic for you chocolate lovers, the double chocolate Built Bar protein bar.
Go see all the amazing flavors at built.com. You don't even have to type in Built Bar anymore. You can if you want, but it'll redirect you right to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your next order. It's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. All right, Pillsy. I do want to make a quick amendment to what I said there. I mentioned that any year between 97 and 2013, Alfie would be number one on the organizational value rankings. When I was growing up in 2005, 2006, right after the lockout, I probably would have told you it was someone else. And I'll pull out one last jersey just for fun because it's another small one. And people either love or hate this one. But when I saw this baby come out, right, it's tiny. You can't really see the scale. This dude is still playing in the NHL. This guy's still playing.
It's back where he started, too. That's the best part of it.
It's unbelievable. Credit to Big Z there. An absolute beauty. Okay, we've teased it enough. We've inched closer and closer. Pillsy, I'm just going to throw you the name, and you tell us why he is number 2 on our organizational value rankings. It is Timmy Superstar.
Timmy Superstar, another guest of this show, Ross. And yeah, I mean, do you have to say much more when you got a guy whose nickname is Superstar? Why he's the second best player, second most valuable player on our organizational value rankings. He's still, you got the Brady Tkachuk one down there. So, but Tim Stutzle is
swapped it.
is still on his entry-level deal. There we go. So he's got 2 years left at a nice dollar amount. You got to love that. And man, Ross, I spent this morning watching Tim Stutzle's goal highlights from the season. I remember that his first goal is so sweet, but when you watch the replay from like 5 different camera angles, what a sick first goal. Like
the timing.
Yeah, like the timing's perfect. Like, how often do you see a play like that where the puck goes all the way up in the air and a guy just tees off on it like that? And for that to be your welcoming to the NHL, man, what a sick moment. And then the hands up Selly, like it was all against the Leafs too. Like it was all just so good. And then, man, people need to respect Tim Stutzle's shot. Like so many of his goals, he had 12 goals last season. I would say 2 of them were tips, I think. And then all the other ones, well, 1 empty netter for his hat trick in Winnipeg. But all the other ones were wrist shots from like beyond the hash marks. Like this is one of those guys where he can just be storming up the wing and he's got a defenseman draped all over him and he'll just tuck it top shelf, short side on a goalie and no one's even ready for it. Like he had so many of those tight angle, short side shots, which he needs to shoot more. Like near the end of the season, he was shooting more. So I think that's where he's having more success. I mean, hey, anytime you get a Hattie, you know your shooting's working pretty well for you. So Tim Stutzle, he's just breaking the surface here. I've been talking about his shooting. How about his playmaking too? Like this guy can set his teammates up so well on the power play, breaking out of the zone. This guy, yeah, like I said, he's just scratching the surface. I think we're going to see one hell of a season from Tim Stutzle.
Are you still worried that he over stick handles a little bit?
He's gotten a lot better with that. And I think that's what happens when you get to the NHL. I think probably a couple vets are probably like Timmy, like we're not in the DEL anymore. You don't need to be doing a through the legs stick pass in our own zone when there's no one around you. Let's just calm down on that and get the puck out of the zone here.
Is he officially Tim or is it still Timmy?
It might be Jimmy.
Oh, fair.
It's Jimmy Stu, right?
I like Tim Stützle and Timmy Superstar.
Nice.
That's how I like it. You know, keep the youthful exuberance. This guy's still a teenager. So What would you tell someone who's laughing at this segment saying, how is he not number 1?
Well, I mean, at this point, you probably know who number 1 is. I think just the...
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. But Tim's like, it's hard to put a guy number 1 when also he only has 1 NHL season under his belt, right? Like there's so much unknown about Tim Stutzle with the progression. Like maybe at the start of the season, we wouldn't have him this high. He'd be right up here, but maybe not this high. But the progression throughout the season is incredible. And In The Athletic, they wrote an article. Dom did a really good look at the Ottawa Senators and coming up here. And he was mentioning at the start of the season, Tim Stützle, DJ Smith was sheltering him. Like, he averaged only like 12, 13 minutes a night for the first couple of weeks. And we were all clamoring, we need more Tim Stutzle. Give us more Tim Stutzle. And I think eventually DJ Smith caught on, and near the back half of the season, he was averaging much more, like maybe 16, 17 minutes a night. So you got to love to see that. And I just think if you're looking at this, why is Tim Stutzle second? The Senators don't have another player like him. Like, they don't really have a guy who's this young with this much just pure skill, pure talent. Like, he's just able to do things that a lot of other guys aren't. And like you said, he's still a teenager with only, 56 games under his belt right now in the NHL. So, man, as long as this guy continues to improve defensively, because there was a lot of times where you're looking at it and you're like, yeah, we know Timmy's got the offense, but the defense is a problem at this point. He's going to get better, and he did get better as the season went on. So I think, it's Brady's contract plays a big part in why Timmy's 2, not behind Brady Tkachuk, that's for sure. But I have no problem having him up this high because this kid is an absolute stud. Oh, we got you muted.
I really got to work on that. As we mentioned,
Preseason.
The contracts do play a factor in how we rank on this show and the organizational value list, right? 2 years left on his entry-level contract. That's great. And as we said with Brady, if he was locked up 8x8, he automatically jumps to number 1. So this top tier is all interchangeable, maybe with the exception, like Jake Sanderson, play an NHL game and then we can move you up, right? But for now, I think that the top 4, this elite category that the Sens are building on, is kind of interchangeable right now. And we asked on Sens Central, like, how would you organize the top 4? And we had like 12 responses in 12 different ways, if that's even possible. Not a math guy.
I don't know if that is possible, but we get your point.
That being said, when we talk about how Thomas Chabot and how Brady Tkachuk and how Tim Stützle, they all affect the game in different ways. And it takes an orchestra to make great music, right? You have your bass player isn't trying to play the flute. And like, so Timmy's your playmaker, your elite dangler, your Patrick Kane, your Artemi Panarin, that type of player. Then you've got your Brady Tkachuk.
Timmy's the saxophone, I feel like, he's the one. Give him the solo and he'll give you a great solo. Brady, he's the drums.
He's the drummer.
The drum set.
Well, Step Brothers reference too, as he looks like John C. Reilly.
Yeah, that's actually perfect. But he's the heartbeat of this team. He's the drum. He's banging away. He's making the noise. I love that. Well, wait, okay, what are our musical comparisons here?
Jake Sanderson's on the flute. Like everything. Okay. And then should we get to number 1?
I think we've already given it away here. We've got to this is a new
before
way
we
do this.
Before we do, Timmy Stützle, season prediction right now. Don't make me look up Derek Stepan's second year in the league.
All right, let's see. Let me look at his stats real quick for this
82 games for a season this year for Tim Stützle.
All right.
How much can he contribute on the score sheet? I'm talking goals, assists. You can even give me a power play number if you'd like.
So last season, 53 games, 12 goals, 17 assists for Tim Stützle for 29 points. Yeah, I definitely think he can get over 20 goals for sure, but I'm going to say under 25 goals. So let's say 23 goals for now, and we're looking at 30 assists. 23 goals, 30 assists for, what's that? Quick math. 53 points?
Yeah,
I'll go with that. 53 points in an 82 season for Tim Stutzle.
I mean, if you've heard my bold take in our bold predictions that will be airing on Locked On NHL coming up soon, you'll know that I'm a little higher on Tim Stutzle's projection, as I think it's going to be over 65 points. So I'm going to say 25 goals, 40 assists will be my prediction for the young German superstar. And we know he'll be contributing member for Team Germany at the Olympics. All right, Timmy Superstar is on this list at number 2. And I'm just going to pull up right now. Where was he on last year's? Was he also number 2? I believe he jumped up one spot. He overtook Brady.
Yeah.
And I think a big reason for that is the fact that Brady is unsigned. Okay, we've given it away. Coming in at number 1 on our organizational value rankings, It's Hot Sam Bacho. Thomas Chabot with 7 years left on his contract. That certainly played a factor with an annual average value of $8 million. Pilsy, why is Thomas Chabot the most important member of the Sens organization today?
Well, right off the bat, we were talking about how the contract's so important, right? I think when this contract was signed, everyone was like, oh, that's a nice deal. Like, good deal for the player, good deal for the team. But now, when you look at this Thomas Chabot contract compared to other guys in his range of defensemen, this is an absolute steal. Like, you start looking at the Seth Jones contract. Who were some of the other big defensemen that signed massive deal? Well, Dougie Hamilton, I would say, is probably worth that money. But when you're looking at guys who are young, number one defensemen, Thomas Chabot at $8 million annual average for 7 more years is such a steal. Now, contract aside, his play on the ice, like you asked, what makes him the number one guy? The Senators, again, similar to Tim Stützle, similar to Brady Tkachuk, they don't have another guy that can do the things that Thomas Chabot can do. And not only does he do them well, he does them often. He's on the ice so much. I pulled up the time on ice stats for last season. And if you do time on ice average per game, only Drew Doughty in the entire league has more average time on ice per game. Doughty is 26 minutes, 23 seconds, and Tom Chabot is right behind him at 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Only a 6-second difference there. So he's being relied upon in all moments. He's going up against the other team's best competition, their toughest players, and he's a guy that defensively, there was some times where you're shaking your head a little, but overall, when you look at how much kind of stress and pressure is put on him to succeed defensively while also contribute offensively, being that guy that transitions the puck out of the defensive zone, being that guy that quarterbacks the top power play. Like, there's so much that he needs to do, and he does it so often that this team, although they played all right when he was injured, it's very obvious when Thomas Chabot isn't a part of this team. Like, there's a glaring hole in that roster, and the other guys need to step up big time to try to fill his shoes.
He averaged 3 minutes and 33 seconds more than any other player on last year's team.
Yeah,
that
crazy.
Tells the story. This is Erik Karlsson reincarnated from the fact that you look at how often he's used. I went to time on ice stat as well, Pilsy, but I stretched it out to the start of the 2018 season when he really became the number one defenseman on the team when Karlsson moved on. And this is the list of players who have played more average time than Chabot per game. Drew Doughty, Brent Burns, Chris Letang, Seth Jones, end of list. So he's relied upon so heavily. I think Sens fans and some listening right now are probably yelling at their computer screen or wherever radio they're listening on and saying he shouldn't be playing that much. And I don't disagree with that. If you cut down a minute or two of his time, but they really just can't because there's no talent behind him.
They don't have many other options, unfortunately, at least not yet.
However, the defensive game, that's something that has left a bit to be desired over the past years. And then you look at his partner. And we like Zaitsev as a bottom pair guy. We do think he brings some value. However, this year, if they do stick with it, he and Artem Zub could have the makings of one of those defense pairs where the stay-at-home guy really just hangs out and allows the other to succeed. Think of when Duncan Keith was with Hjalmarsson in Chicago. He just had this extra layer of offense to his game. You look at
Carl Mathot.
That's the easy one for sure, and one that will resonate most with Sens fans. But it cannot be understated how important that is. Think of Wade Redden when he had Zdeno Chara, who at that point of his career was more so just a booming shot from the point or stand in front of the net on the power play. But he really allows his partner to move around a lot more. And that's because Zub has a very active stick defensively, and he makes very quick decisions coming out of his own zone. He can just slide it over, and then Shabby gets the puck in more prime situations. Zaitsev is very much an off the glass and out defenseman. And I think Shabby needs a guy who's going to put the puck on his stick in the right spots. And that's where Zub becomes the perfect partner for him. At least we're about to find out, as both Chabot and Zub will make their preseason debuts tonight. Okay, what would be a successful season for Thomas Chabot?
All right, let's take a look at how he did last season. I think for Thomas Chabot, like you said, I think a big part of him having success is getting those minutes down just a little bit. Like, you don't want to be like, sure, it's great to be in that top echelon of time on ice per game, but you don't want to be burning a guy out. Especially, it was tough to watch Thomas Chabot do that when we were in meaningless games, right? Like when you're like, okay, the Sens are out of the playoffs here, and we're playing Thomas Chabot 31 minutes a night here. Like, what are we doing? Why are you exerting this guy way too much and risking injury too? So last season, 49 games, 31-point pace, and really, when you look at it, that's a pretty good season compared to his season before, where he in 71 games had 39 points. So just 8 points off with like 22 games less played, and he had the same amount of goals with 6. So I think really we could look to the 2018-2019 season, where in 70 games he had 55 points. I think that's right around where we're going to see Thomas Chabot again. I would say somewhere between, let's say 15 goals and 43 assists for Thomas Chabot. So we're looking at, 58 points there, if my math is right. Maybe not. I got a little jumbled up there, but somewhere around there. That's what I'm getting at, because I think that's a perfect spot for Thomas Chabot to be in. And I'm saying that he's not getting a massive boom here because I'm hoping some of the other defensive prospects and guys coming up here are going to help out, and they're going to chip in offensively too.
We know that he's a guy who's watching Nodak Sens games going this season saying, can you please hurry up, Jake? I'd like a little help on the back end. Can you please come here? And by the way, Jake Sanderson participating in a shootout right now for North Dakota as they start their preseason schedule tomorrow. And Brad Schlossman reporting that Jake Sanderson won the team shootout. So shocker there for the stay-at-home defenseman who doesn't have much offense.
How do you like that for some offense? Yeah.
Hey, great way to end the show, right? Talking about shootouts from defensemen, because tonight we get to see Artem Zub go in all alone. So great stuff here. So what I'll say about Thomas Chabot is that if he hits 60 points, the Sens make the playoffs.
Oof. Damn. I like that thinking, but I think the goaltending will definitely balance that out, right? Like Thomas Chabot could get 60 points, but he could also be like a minus 35, and the goaltending could be brutal.
Oh my God. A bit reminiscent of Morgan Riley's early career, but Thomas Chabot now going into his 5th full NHL season, and he's been minus double digits every single year in his career. Even the year where he played one game, and it was against Arizona. I remember it very well. One game -2 in 7 minutes of ice time. So, hey, that's definitely something, a part of his game that he needs to work on. We mentioned like the fact he's locked up, and then you look at all the other defensemen, the Seth Jones, the Zach Werenski. I'm missing a few, but guys who have signed $9 million contracts.
Heiskanen too, right?
Heiskanen and Cale Makar, although that guy's on a different planet. However, the market for defensemen just keeps going up. So the fact that Chabot's locked in for 7 more years at $8 million per season with no signing bonuses.
Yep.
Shocker.
And the no movement clause doesn't start till year 4.
Yeah, but he did get one. I believe that you're not allowed to have a no movement clause until you're able to be an unrestricted free agent. So it would make sense that would kick in once he turns 27. So that's something that's often overlooked with Chabot as well. This guy's 24 years old and will be for the better part.
I feel like he's been around for a decade. Like, that's crazy.
Well, going back to, I got to watch him in 2015 when I was living in Halifax. He was with the St. John Sea Dogs, and he scored a breakaway goal in overtime to win the game. So I automatically had my eyes on him. And then the next year, while you and I were at CSM, he wins MVP of the World Juniors, the first and only defenseman ever to win MVP at that tournament. So this guy, he comes in the big games. I can't wait to see him play a playoff game in the NHL. Yeah. And he's just so smooth and so calculated when he's on the ice, when the puck's on his stick. But to take the next step, he's just got to be that good when the puck's off his stick in the defensive end. But he's growing into his body. This guy was very slight as a teenager, and coming out of junior, he was always skilled, always fast twitch, moving around. But as he's adding some bulk, that's only going to help. And this is a guy who spends a lot of his summer in Ottawa training with Chris Schwartz and the Senators strength and conditioning staff, and the conditioning for him is a joke, right? That's just like in his DNA. This guy could be a marathon runner the way that he recovers. And if he's around 25 minutes, I think that's probably the sweet spot. There's too many games last year where he was up over 30. That can't happen. We need to limit that to about a handful. But when this guy is on his game, people need to respect him a little bit more. He cannot become the Wade Redden style whipping boy of this team. He is too talented, too important, and he's going to be wearing a letter for the next 7 years. To me, it's an A, but
absolutely.
If he's the next captain, I'm sure everyone will be following his lead, no question. He's just got that calm demeanor. He's got the French-English thing going, which does matter in a bilingual city like Ottawa. So there's a lot to like when you have Thomas Chabot. And the fact that, look at our top 4. 5th overall pick at number 4. 4th overall pick at number 3. 3rd overall pick at number 2. And 15th overall, Thomas Chabot. Sorry, 18th overall. 18th overall, Thomas Chabot. That just tells you what a great job scouting that was to get him. And the fact that he wasn't even the first defenseman picked on his team, Pilsy. Jakub Zaboral was one of those 3 players that Boston screwed up with right before. I mean, Jake
that Boston trio, man, that might have that if they hit those 3 players properly,
they would have had Barzal.
Even bigger dynasty than they already are. Like, it'd be wild what they'd be able to do.
We're not throwing around the D word. They're not a dynasty. They're a couple cup final appearances.
If they hit some of the 3 of the best players in that draft, I think that, like, if the Bruins get, like you mentioned, Barzal, Chabot, and then who's another guy they could have gotten instead of
Brock Besser.
Put those 3 on a Boston Bruins lineup. And
I'm pulling up that first round right now because it is absolutely.
But something happened there because remember they had Martin Jones for like a hot second.
Yeah, they flipped him to get another first.
They were trying to do some kind of big trade and it didn't work. And then I think they panicked and they just had to take the top 3 guys on their board. I think something weird happened that day.
Wow. Okay, if you're watching on YouTube, I just pulled up. This is the first round of the 2015 NHL draft.
Oh my God.
It's really fun to look back at because 13th, 14th, 15th, all.
Yeah, so switch those guys with the next 3 players, Barzal, Kyle Connor, and Thomas Chabot. Holy crap, would that team be absolutely amazing if they got those guys.
I still remember going to battle for Travis Konechny for that Ottawa pick at 21, the pick they acquired.
I'm still not forgiving them for that.
Yeah, Robin Leonard was exchanged for that pick, and David Legwand, Sens legend. As well. So, hey, that's some 2015 draft. If you do a redraft, actually, as I pull it back up, obviously McDavid 1, Eichel 2. You probably have to start looking at Mitch Marner at 3 there, no?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's too crazy to take Rantanen over Marner.
Oh, yeah. Rantanen's right there. True. Right. Rantanen's good. You got Ivan Provorov just scratching the surface as well. But Thomas Chabot certainly goes top 10. And this draft, we're going to look back at 2015 almost in the same vein that we look back at 2003. And the 2003 draft, if you have time, go search that up. It is, and you have to scroll down too, because like I believe that Shea Weber and Duncan Keith both went in second
rounders. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty incredible when you look back at drafts in hindsight. And hopefully we do the same with Tyler Boucher coming up. His Boston University Terriers have their first preseason game on Saturday. So Monday is going to be a big show. We got two Senators preseason games against Montreal to recap. I believe cuts will be momentarily. We'll make our own cuts as well and have our updated NHL roster on Monday. So we'll do 6 lines. We'll keep that many forwards. We'll keep 8 defensemen and 3 goalies. And then we also have junior to coverage. We got our Sens on the farm to get back to because hockey is in full swing. It's October. We're now 400 episodes into the show, and we can't thank everyone enough for making us your first listen of the day. Locked On Podcast Network, at Locked On Network, they put out a tweet yesterday, and it got a ton of engagement, over 150 replies. And I got to tell you, at least 50 of them, were people saying that they are Locked On Senators. And we could not appreciate that more.
That made my day. That was just awesome to see. The support is great.
Huge spike in our YouTube subscribers yesterday as well. We want to keep this ball rolling. If there's anything in particular that you want us to get to, this is a show by fans for fans. So if there's anything that you want done or talked about, you hit us up at lockedon.senators on Instagram or Send Central on Twitter. If you notice,
and if you want to go on the show, hit us up. You're welcome on the show too.
Once we get back from the start to the season excitement, we're going to get back to our Send Central Citizen Mondays. We've already got one lined up, Cam Kennedy. Correction there. Cam Robinson, of course, works for Elite Prospects.
Yeah.
Cam
we
Kennedy,
got him on the show already.
Out in Thunder Bay, wants to be a Send Central Citizen.
T-Bay, nice.
Yes, we've both driven through there in recent times. So we'll get Cam on the show to kick things off to our Send Central Citizens, one of our favorite segments we do. And we're going to get to a solid template of the show once we get this season underway. But right now, it's all excitement all the time. We really appreciate everyone following along with our organizational value rankings. It was quite the project for us to do, and we hope you enjoyed it half as much as we do, getting a little taste of each player and what they could bring in the organization. If you disagree with us, for sure, hit us up in the comments. We want to hear how you would order the top four, so let us know there. And who are you locked on in tonight's game? Pilsy, will quickly end with that. Who are you locked on in tonight's game against Montreal? And we'll double down over the weekend, these two games. We don't know the roster for tomorrow, but who are you looking for as a bubble guy maybe, or a veteran who you're saying, okay, by Monday, I better be talking about how he played well?
Well, right away, and you can't blame me, but the first thing I thought of was Formenton, but he was my locked-on player before, so I'm not going to go with that. But
it worked. He scored.
Yeah, and goal and an assist, not a big deal. So let's just quickly touch on that Formenton getting a chance on that top line is absolutely sick. I'm so stoked about that. But to change up my answer a little, and another guy who we did get to see in Winnipeg, this guy's fighting for his contract. He's fighting for a job. It's Tyler Ennis. Tyler Ennis on that line with Cole Reinhardt and Colin White. I'm very interested to see how he does. And I'm really interested to see kind of where the coaches and management are at with him. Like, if from what you've seen so far, Ross, are you giving him a contract here, minimum?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got a little carried away because speaking of Thomas Chabot, we were just speaking about NHL 22 just put out their top defensive ratings.
Okay.
They have Thomas Chabot as the 7th best ranked defenseman in the NHL.
List the guys ahead of him.
I respect that a lot. They've got Thomas Chabot, Dougie Hamilton, and Cale Makar at 88 overall, Pietrangelo at 89, John Carlson, Roman Josi at 90, and Victor Hedman at 92.
Okay, yeah, that's right around where he should be. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
That's solid. As with Tyler Ennis, what I noticed against Winnipeg when we were at that game, and I'm hopeful that he'll get a different opportunity maybe, although on the power play you do slide over and play that half wall, but I don't know if I like him lining up on the point.
No, that's such a weird move. I don't like that at all. Yeah.
So he is a power play type guy, though. He puts up points in those situations with great vision. And I do not mind him working the half wall, but I'd probably line up like a guy like Norris on the point so that he can just slide over to that one-timer position a little bit.
Use that shot.
Easier. So Tyler Ennis, that's great. Goalie friendly show. I got to go with Matt Murray. All eyes on Matt Murray. How's he moving around the crease? Does he look solid?
How's his confidence look? Like, I feel like Matt Murray's the guy, like similar to Gustafsson. Like in warmups, what's his posture like?
Yeah.
Like, what? I know that sounds stupid, but like, is he like really tight and like really like super focused? Is he loose? Like, how's he looking? How does he feel? Like, I think Matt Murray, the two biggest things are health, for sure, and then confidence. And he didn't have a good health or confidence to start the season last year, but then he came back, new goalie coach, feeling healthy, feeling confident, and he was an absolute stud in the crease. So let's get back to that Matt Murray.
By about 5 p.m. Eastern, we're going to tweet out who's your locked-on player to watch for tonight. So hit us up there. But until then, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for listening. A milestone 400th episode of Locked On Senators. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.